Right, guys. So, I think it is time that we should enter the Phantom Zone. So, Tim, it is your week. What would you like to nominate to be sent and banished into the Phantom Zone so that it will never...
Think this through.
Yeah, think this through. What is your nominee? We will hear your case and we will discuss.
Without even thinking about it.
Now what are the criteria?
So so far we said that like Jar Jar Binks was bad. Should it be banished to the Phantom Zone? That the Snyderverse was bad. Should that be something that should have never existed or that will never bother us again? What is something within the world? It could be a movie, it could be a theme, it could be, an actor.
A trope.
I was glad that I was given criteria because my first thing was like hemorrhoids should be banned to the Phantom Zone. But this is not that.
Yeah.
I would say using a multiverse as a crutch for storyline explanations. As a crutch. Like, well, we'll just explain it as a multiverse. No. Do good stories. Don't do multiverse because Ant-Man found the quantum zone and instead of going up Thanos' butt, they decided to do time travel and like bring all this Infinity Stones from other places. Don't do that. So that's my opinion.
Okay, good. That's a strong candidate. Okay, let us discuss. Now, I will say straight away, Sliders is the greatest television show ever made, and it entirely hinges on the idea of the multiverse, right?
Yeah.
So it can be done well, but I think we are in the era where everything is going to multiverse. Like we discussed this, I think, last week and some other times as well, saying about, couldn't they fix Star Wars with the multiverse? And there's the multiverse. This is how they can bring back characters and such like this. So I think the multiverse as a crutch definitely is a big problem because everything's loving their multiverse right now.
What defines a crutch?
What defines a crutch?
Yes, in this multiverse thing. What is the crutch in the multiverse thing?
Tim,
That's
how
a
would
good
you?
question, Ash.
Yeah. Well, how did you mean it first?
Well, I saw Dev raise his hand. I'm curious if Dev has any.
Okay, so using the multiverse as a crutch thing, where like multiverse, if it's like a world-ending threat, it's fine. But like if it's like a small thing, we can just grab Peter Parker from Universe X to solve this little problem because our Peter Parker's on holiday. That would be like a crutch.
I think for me, a crutch is when you're looking to put together creative elements and you need a story behind it to justify it. I want Spiderman. I want like a threat to the hot dog industry, and I need the Red Hulk. So multiverse, perfect.
Yeah,
we have these elements, and I can just use the multiverse for it. And it's like I feel like that is the issue. Is like you see decision makers, but not storytellers, decide like, this movie needs that and that and that, and then a storyteller's like, well, how are we going to justify this? And the guy's like, well, didn't they do that in Endgame? That's, I guess, how I would define a crutch.
You know what? I've got some thoughts on this, but Dev, go to you first.
Interesting way they did it well, where they used the multiverse as a crutch well, was WandaVision, where they had to use Quicksilver, but they ended up using X-Men's Quicksilver instead of MCU.
But didn't they justify that wasn't multiverse?
Yeah, it was not Quicksilver.
Yeah, I mean, like that was the only time it worked when they did it.
But that was, but
Sort of.
technically they used their get out of jail free card and said it wasn't multiverse. And it was like, wait, so you've just done a multiverse thing and said, oh no, but we haven't done the multiverse yet. And then 6 months later, we'd got Loki where they were doing multiverse. Now, Loki is something I'm going to come to with it as well. And I'm going to, guys, we can discuss this because multiverse comes up so much. We can discuss what we think is fair or right within the world, the multiverse of multiverses. 1 second, Cap. So when you watched Loki, and they're like, here is Kid Loki, here is like classic Loki, here is like Girl Loki, and we got Black Loki, and we got Crocodile Loki, and it's like they can't all be Loki. Like, what happened? Like, I'm going to tell you about Sliders first. The idea of the multiverse, and this ties in to how they explain it in the MCU specifically, is there's the sacred timeline, and basically the movie Sliding Doors isn't a great movie, but the concept of it is amazing. That the person's going to catch a train, and the door shuts, and they don't catch it, or they do catch it, and then it goes off in two different tangents. And so if that's been happening since the beginning of time, that we've been going along the timeline and things split off in different directions, what changes along the way so that Loki, that same character, is now a crocodile? That is using multiverse of, we can just do anything. There is no way that could be Loki, who is also a crocodile. There is no point in history. Now, you could say, people evolved out of lizards, and so now they're a lizard evolution people. There is nothing that would actually still make that Loki. That, to me, is abusing the idea of the multiverse. Go on, Cap.
Okay, so there's a great video by Imaginary Access kind of explains how Marvel Multiverse works in DC. In the Marvel Multiverse, before even the Loki show started, right? What you just described, David, is how their multiverse idea works. If they're like, if I got up today, I picked up this mug, and there's another universe where I didn't pick up this mug. Every decision that I didn't make. So whenever it gets to a decision, the universe gets branched off. So did a crocodile, got evolved, decided to evolve, or a gorilla, chimpanzee decided to evolve, or I say it's a different thing. That's the way that Marvel Multiverse works. The DC Multiverse works is that there are different dimensions, like the world on worlds, where there's like different realms, but there are multiple versions of those same realms vibrating in different frequencies. And the Flash is the one who can actually travel through these versions because he can vibrate himself in different frequencies. So what
creates them? What makes them different versions?
They're always there. No, they're always there. They're always there. The Earth has like many Earths, but they're all vibrating in different frequencies. They have their own storyline, but they're also, this one's from the TMNT, they all have one origin point, where there's like one Earth.
Prime universe.
Okay, so if they've got one origin point, what splits them off? Other than choices in time.
They never gave a reason for the reason why they split up.
It's choices in time. That's the only way to explain how you could have a Superman and another Superman.
Mm-hmm. No, but I think
like I said, there are different realms. They go with different realms and stuff. There are always realms with different laws of physics or different way it works. If you go to the Turtle Multiverse, the Turtle Prime was the black and white comic one. That's the Prime Turtle universe. And then it gets to the 80s show, where there's always 80s. Nothing like the world itself is 80s forever. And then you get to 2000 TMNT, it's 2000
that's
forever.
The crutch. That's the crutch. There's no justification to it. There's no logic. It's just for the sake of it.
No, you can't give a logic by saying the technology, like, we never got away from transistors. For some reason, we decided transistors is the best way to go, and we just developed.
Yeah, okay. That's still a change in time. That's still branching timelines.
No, they do go time, but the technology and how their world is appeared, or how the laws of physics work, they don't change. So, like with the Turtle 80s, they can go to 2030, but their technologies will be an evolved version of the 80s technology. It won't go to smartphones, or it won't change the theme. The theme will always be the 80s, or the trope of it. That's what the DC universe is, how it's done. Now, this is the description, by the way. What I'm talking about is, whatever you're doing, world building is very important. Okay, world building is that whatever story that you're trying to put, you need to do world building better. But the thing is, everyone does not do it very well, and we sometimes give okay to the small things where we don't use, why don't Ant-Man go Thanos is up his butt? He perfectly can, and why doesn't he? We forgive these things because like they're very minor. Anything that is very huge, like in the Loki story as well, where you have a huge organization that's like doing stuff, that's when you go like they always define it as reason, oh, that was meant to happen in the timeline. For some reason, it doesn't feel like it when you always say that in every major movie event that happens. You gotta at least say we did one thing in one movie event. That kind of justifies it. So, whatever you're doing, again, we focus on characters more than anything else about anything. So, as long as you make the characters make decisions that those characters would make, you would be fine. Because like we are our own crutches. We may have the multiverses at our disposal, but if you want the people who concept the idea, oh, David's gone again.
I think you bored him to death, David. I think you bored David to death.
He's gone to the other universe. He doesn't like this version.
That's what it is. He's like, screw this. I'm going to the multiverse. Yeah, it's fascinating.
I think multiverse. Again, it is one of the existential questions that humans still struggle with. What if there's a multiverse universe where everything I didn't do in this life exists? What does that even mean for my own life? We still haven't grasped the idea yet, so we can't really do that good in fiction as well because we are not really comfortable with that idea.
This was actually covered in what was it? He did. Oh my god. I forget. He's an author, Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut created a alien race called the Tralfamadorians, and they can see time. So like they see their whole timeline and the thing in their life, and they being able to perceive time even if it is a dimension that we cannot see. We can only see it as it goes by. It's fascinating because you I question whether or not, so it goes, so it happens is what the Tralfamadorians say. It's true. Like, what is that decision if we made it differently? And then do you feel the regret? Or do you feel the other emotions that come with it? And it's basically, using the multiverse as a crutch to connect different characters like you talked about, Cap. And focusing on the story of those characters. I think that's difficult to do. I like how Spider-Man did it. I think Spider-Man did a great job of bringing in these creative elements from the previous Spider-Man movies, and it created like a sense of nostalgia, which was awesome. I didn't like Multiverse of Madness. I thought it was a little too explorative and
Maybe we didn't need anything because like we didn't have that much investment in Strange either. Strange only had one movie. The other movie that it appeared in it was like a background character. So we don't know enough about him, or we don't not that invested in him to see his evil version or this other. Yeah.
Let me come on to that for a second. So a couple of points. Firstly, on what you'd said, Tim, about like how they did it with Spider-Man. One of the things that's interesting in that is that they're all meant to be Peter Parker. They never, and they touched on this in WandaVision before they said, "Oh, but you're not really Quicksilver. You're Ralph Boner." They never really discussed why the different versions look different. As an audience, we'll accept it because we just want to see the different actors come together. With Doctor Strange, there's so much that they did wrong. I had just queued it up. I'm going to bring up our shield, unless my internet's going weird tonight, guys. I do apologize. But let's have a look at this sequence. We've spoke about it a few times on the show. This is the sequence where they fall through the multiverse. And literally, I'll have to start it just because you see the majority of the multiverse universes that you see them go through are for like split second at a time. So like, here's one with giant heads. I don't know what that is, and that's done. That's all you see that for. Look, and again, there's an ice one. There's one with giant wasps. You see that for a second. They're underwater. Now there could be something's happened. A meteor's hit the Earth. It's raised the sea level, and that explains that one. But you're going to see that okay, some of the fish somehow fell through time as well. Not through time, through the multiverse. Now we've got one with flying cars. Maybe there was never like a mass extinction event. Well, no, what I was going to say is you could go like using the time theory and say, well, whatever we got up to when we had the pyramids, one was if we never had where we ended up back in the Dark Ages and we just kept progressing from that point. Because then perhaps we would be living in a futuristic time. But then soon enough, there's ones with giant skeletons everywhere. Dinosaurs are still there. This one, I think they've got a hard thing to justify because even if there was something that made the world look different, Strange looks different. And it's like, what changes so that he's now become a cartoon? It's just for the sake of it. And they're going to do the most offensive case of this in a moment. Like, he's dead. What's happened in this universe that means he can survive that? He's dead, but it's going to get worse. There you go. It's like, this is just
spaghetti.
Okay, so I can explain this. This is just Sam Raimi. One thing is body horror bullshit into the movie.
Yeah, but that doesn't. That explains why they did it in the film. There is no storyline reason that can explain how come they survived this, or how that's even possible. Okay, go on, Cap.
Okay, I can actually give you an explanation on this one because, like in the first movie, when the Ancient One gave him a glimpse of the things that he didn't, Strange doesn't understand. Like again, they already talked about the multiverse in Doctor Strange 1, but it's like Dormammu exists in another dimension, which is another universe. And she gave him a little preview. Maybe you can show that in the clip, David, without the sound. He just glimpses the different ways the universe works and multiverses in general. They kind of did that in the first film. I think the sequence that they did, it doesn't really matter much because they kind of end up in a universe where there's basically like Earth with humans, and except it had like Bruce Campbell, right? Who's the guy who played in Evil Dead. That's the only main thing there's. Hey, that's like Bruce Campbell against the hot dog guy. So no matter how freak show stuff that they do, they're not really creative enough to actually explore that stuff. I think the only stuff that I've seen who explored it was TMNT, where they went to different sort of turtle universes. They actually go to a black and white thing, David.
Okay. There's just like, if you want to see where they've actually explored it, then let me just find this, guys, because this is important.
Oh no, it's gonna be Sliders.
Right. Okay. Allow me, Cap. You've got to watch this. Look, I can say that there were 5 seasons of Sliders. The first 2 are some of the best television ever made. After that, they just kind of lost the way. They were trying to do like monsters and stuff like that. They were trying to, but the first 2 seasons are all intelligent, and everything is, what if at some point in the past this had happened rather than this? What would it mean? So in the first episode, they end up in a world and they're expecting to see a statue of Abraham Lincoln. And they're like, no, it's Lenin. And like the Russians have taken over America. And it's a real like, wow, the history could have gone this way if other things had happened. They land on another like world. And there are still dinosaurs that are now being protected in a conservation park. They never died out. They land in another world. And there's like, they just happen to be in a world where there's like, they'd never invented penicillin. And so it's like people are dying of this virus that can be easily resolved. There's another one where they go there and it is more of a what if than a difference in history. But well, except for, yeah, you could justify its difference in history. A meteorite is coming to the Earth and they're like, this is the end of the world. And they're like, well, why don't you blow it up with a nuke? They're like, there was no, what do you mean a nuke? And it turns out that the Manhattan project wasn't approved. Sliders does the multiverse in the absolute best way it's ever been done. And
TMNT did the same.
Okay, fair enough.
We're all going to have our own favorite multiverses. Like my one's different to yours.
Okay, what's yours, Dev?
Honestly, it's the one thing when they did this in South Park.
Oh, okay, right. I don't know the South Park one, but the second best one, if you've seen it, is the Family Guy one. Because that just
Oh, the Disney with the Disney stuff, right?
Yeah, the Disney. Yeah, Tim.
I will say though that Multiverse. I don't think before like Endgame we had as much of a pop culture understanding of multiverse, multiple dimensions, multiple options. Like we're slowly expanding our creative sense of things, and I like that part.
I think the geeks did, Tim. I think the geek culture, like comics and cartoons in general, was a thing. But like now, for the general public, they made the thing in the movies. But I don't think they actually understand that cartoons and comics did that in a much better way than these guys ever did. But there's also a thing, greed helps multiverse a lot, where you can bring in and hire any actors, multiple versions of the same movie. That's the crutch for me. Dead.
Yeah, because David's gone again. So, like, I don't really like the multiverse because we end up with stuff like Henry Cavill as a Wolverine.
Yeah.
I would like to see that story.
Yeah.
Deadpool's multiverse.
Here's an interesting thing, right? They released Deadpool digitally, the new one, and there's a lot of deleted scenes, but they're not on the Blu-ray. All the deleted scenes are online, but they're not on the Blu-ray. Like, there's one where, like, at the end of have you guys all seen Deadpool 3 now?
Yes, we all seen it.
So the boss battle with Peter at the end. Like every single Deadpool tells them to go fuck themselves in their own way. So you get the Irish one, the cowboy, the kid, all telling them to fuck off in like their own Welsh way. The kid says it's not another way and stuff, but that's not on the Blu-ray.
Why not?
The Gambit scene with the portal, that's not on the Blu-ray.
Right. Okay. Are we still on the multiverse here, guys? Because my internet's going to dog shit. Right.
We went to Deadpool's multiverse.
In the interest, yeah, exactly. My multiverse is just dying here. In the interest of, in case this goes wrong again, I may just have to accept my fate and reset the computer and everything. Let us put it to the vote. Multiverse as a crutch, should it be going into the Phantom Zone? Capital Dave, which way do you vote it? In or out of the Phantom Zone?
So before I vote, I do have to say, like, we all have a different interpretation of what is the multiverse crutch. So I would say, again, for my reasons, greed, and also, like Tim said, like, characters not doing things that are not actually they would do themselves, and only putting in things because they have a crappy way of like putting it in the movie, so they're just like using it as an excuse. Yes, I'm for this. Put this in the Phantom Zone.
Okay, Dev, what do you say?
I say we keep it because if we don't have the multiverse of the crutch, Marvel and DC will out of business.
Do you know what, Dev? You have swung my vote. Okay, I'm going to say it. Tim, we'll come to you last. It looks like it will. Well, you could make it a tie. You could make it a tie, and then we're in a deadlock. But what are you going to say?
I'm going to keep it a tie because because then whatever dimension I don't, it veers off. So
there's another universe where it's not in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, there's a universe where
I was about to say that we are absolutely in sliding doors. So to respect the multiverse where we did go the other way. Do you know, I need to get like a graphic where it gets like stuck into a black hole.
Interesting thing about the Phantom Stone, David. That is also another dimension, which is another universe.
We're not doing this.
It's like a pocket universe, at least.
Yeah. It's the space in between.